Welcome back to another tutorial for programming. So last time we learned about loops and how to use them. So today we're going to be learning about arrays and more loops. So we're going to make a new project and we're going to call it arrays. Arrays. Alright, so an array is a list of data. An array has a fixed length and a data type. Each item in an array is called an element, and each element can be accessed by the index. The index is an integer representing the element, so the index of the first element is 0. So what this means, I'm going to open up paint.net to have a little example, so once that opens up I can show you. Alright, so we have our array, which is a list of things. So imagine this is in our memory or square. This is our thing, and then we have multiple squares in that. We have that. So then we have, hold on, let me just make this look nice. There we go. Okay. We have, I'm gonna pause it while I make this. Alright, cool. So yeah, so this is basically a representation of an array. So we have our list of data. These squares are data. I'm gonna make them a different color real quick. Just make them red. Data. Alright, so we have our data, and then we have the index representing the data. So we have, say, a variable in here, and then when we want to access that variable, we just say this first one is 8, and index 8 is the 9th one, and the length is 10. So yeah, that's basically what an array is. So let's see how arrays work. So let's make a class, and we're going to name it array example 1. Alright, so we're going to make it runnable. So public static void main string args. Forgot to do the little shortcut, so that's why I typed it out. So how do we declare an array? Alright, so as I said, an array has a fixed data type and a length. So first we have to declare it just like a normal variable. So we have int, which is our data type, and then we put these brackets. You may recognize these brackets to be in here. That's because this args is actually an array of strings. So yeah, int array. So again, arrays need names. So like the scanner class, like a class, an array needs to have allocated space in the RAM. So we need to use our new keyword. So it's a new, and then we give it int, then we give it an array. Now, as I said, arrays have a fixed length as well, so we need to give our integer array a length. So we're going to give it 10. So now what we just created is we created an array of integers that is 10 things long. So it's just like this one, so it's going to have an integer, all of these integers, and so it's 10. So how do we give these a number? So as I said, each element has an index, has a number representing it. These indexes, indices, whatever, indexes right here. Yeah. So we want to give the first one a value, our first index a value. So all we do is we just do 0. That's our first index, and we just do equals 100. Once you access your index, it works just like a normal integer. So let's keep going. Integer array 1 equals 200. Integer array, we have to fill all of them. 300. Integer array 3 equals 400. Integer array 4 equals 500. Integer array 5 equals 600. Integer array 6 equals 700. Integer array 7 equals 800. Integer array 8 equals 900. Integer array 9 equals 1000. 1, 2, 3, yes. Okay, so as you can see, I only went up to 9 because our length is 10 and 0 is included. So as you can see, this only goes up to 9. If we try to give it 10, it'll give us an error just right off the bat, probably. 1100. Well, it works, but it's going to give us an exception. Out of bounds exception. As in, you went to the 11th index of an array that only has 10 elements. So you can't do this. It gives you an exception, out of bounds. So let's access these, now the values that they have. So sys out. The length of the array is, so we want to give it the length of the array because we're going to use that in loops and stuff. So we have length. All right. So first let's run that and we should get 10. The length of the array is 10. All right. Now let's do system.out for all of these. Array 0, and it's going to copy this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so when we run it, we should just get the length of our array. I did do this wrong. That's 10,000. We want 1000. There we go. So the length of the array is 10, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1000. So yeah, so this is pretty repetitive. So we learned about loops last time, so let's use loops in this. So we're not going to make another class. Oh, I guess we are. Hold on, I screwed up my notes. We're going to make another class. It's going to be called ArrayExample2. ArrayExample2, we're going to make it runnable. Let me just fix my notes real quick. Done. Alright, ArrayExample2, finish. And get runnable. So we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to copy this much. So I don't have to type all that again. It's the same array. And, oh, we want this too. Yeah, so I'm going to do a for loop. For loops are generally used for arrays. If you want to shift through every single part of the array. So length I++. Sys out int array I. Oops. So basically what this loop is doing is it's starting at 0. I is short for index. That's why I said that it's normal to use I in the loops. And then int array.length is the length, so it's going to do it 10 times. So go from 0 to 9 because 10 doesn't count when you have it like this. And it's going up. And then it's just using I as the index. So it should look exactly the same. So it does. So yeah, we use less code to make the same thing. So there's actually a special type of array of for loops just for this. They're called the for in loop. So let's take a look at the for in loop. So array example 3. We're gonna just copy all of this. Nope. All of that. Paste it, and then we're going to change our loop a little bit. We're going to call for int I colon int array. So what a for in loop does is you give it the data type of the array, make a variable of that, and then you put in the list. It works in any list. It doesn't have to be an array. It can be whatever. So, and it pretty much sets I to whatever the index it's at. So when it first starts the loop, it's going to set I to index 0, and then it's going to go through the entire loop every single time, no matter what happens, and set I to whatever index it's at. So let's run it. It's going to look exactly the same as our other ones. So it's just a little more simple way of shifting through loops. So now we're going to learn about the continue loop. A continue keyword. Continue keyword is a loop term that I couldn't teach to you last time because it's generally used in arrays. So we're going to make our continue example. And I'm also going to show you a quicker way to making an array. When you do just integer list, I'm also going to call arrays list a lot, and then you put curly brackets. Make sure you have your semicolon. So this pretty much tells the computer to make an array and allocate space for it all in one go. So then you just put in your values. So 5, 8, 2, and then I like to, if it's an array of numbers, I like to put 3 and then enter, and then a new line, which is totally okay. 8, comma, make sure you have comma separating all your numbers. 7, 1, comma, 18, comma, 13, comma, 58. So this is this number is this is 12 long. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, so what the continue keyword does is so let me just show you what it looks like. Print I in list. If I remainder 2 is not equal to 0, continue. Sys out I is even. Alright, so the difference here between the, so as you can see, it should be going through I is even at every single iteration of the loop. But we have this continue keyword here that makes sure that the number is even by being able to divide into 2 evenly. So what continue does is it goes, instead of the break keyword, which takes the code outside of the loop and then does not finish the loop, continue just makes it so that the code goes to the end of the loop, so it skips whatever is left, so it doesn't do this. And then it just goes back here into the loop and checks if the loop is done or not, just like a normal loop, and then just keeps doing it. So we have some odd numbers and we have some even numbers, but only 8 to 8, 18, and 58 are even. So that's what should our output be. 8 to 8, 18, 58. So it saw that 5 remainder 2 was not was 0, or was not 0, so it continued. It just stopped the current loop and then started again at the next iteration. So instead of writing so much code, we just put all the alright, so now we're going to talk about the array list. An array list is like an array, but a bit more sophisticated. The array list is actually a class, so we actually have to use the import to call it from. So I'm going to do, before I show you that, list 1, make this roundable. So we're going to import it from Java util. So it's import java.util.ArrayList. It's a class. So an array list is kind of weird. So array list, to declare it, you do that like it's an object, but then you have to do this. So this is an array list of integers. Oh, what's wrong? Oh, I did abstract list. I meant to do array list. Array list. This is an array list of integers. Once you have an array list, the data type that you're going to put in, it has to be the class version. So you can't do int. That's a primitive type. You have to give it the object integer. It's the same thing and it holds a number. It's just the class of it. So, for example, a float would be that rather than this. Right? So, anyway, so integers, and it has them in these, the greater than, less than signs. And then you do new array list, because it is a class, you have to allocate space for it. You do integer, then you put bracket or parentheses. Array list doesn't take any parameters, but whenever you have new class, you have to give it the parentheses. So we're going to list, and to add values to an array list, we just add, and we give it an integer. See, what's different from an array and an array list is that an array list doesn't have a fixed length, but it has a fixed data type still. So we can just add however many we want. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to do an array list that's 7 long, or that's 8 long actually. We're going to go up to 700. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So now we're going to do sys out. The list is now, to access the length of an array list, it's actually not length, it's list.size. Alright? And it has our parentheses because it's a method within the class, which we will learn about later. Long. So now we're going to do our for in loop. As I said, the for in loop works with any list of any sort, so we can do this with an array list as well. Sys out I. So we should get our list is 8 long, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, so you can also remove values from an array list. In an array, you can just set it to null or 0, but in an array list, you can actually get rid of the allocated space for that value. So to do that, it's just a simple method called remove. We're gonna go ahead and yeah, so we're gonna do an array list. Array list example 2. I forgot to make this runnable. It's alright, I'm gonna close all my others. Close others. Public static void main string array args. I get to finally say string array to you guys. So array list, we're gonna make another array list. Control system to automatically import it. Array list of integer again, integer. List. I like to declare it and then instantiate it in a different line. This is how I handle it, because we're gonna once we get into classes and all that stuff, this might be instantiated up here. So that makes all the difference. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we're gonna add some values. So list.add 5, list.add. It's gonna be the same numbers as the last array example. So we're gonna do 2, list.add 87, list.add 9. What are you doing? 9, list.add 8, list.add 3, list.add 7. I keep pressing enter for some reason. 7, list.add one list dot add 18 list dot add 13, and finally list dot add 18 or 58, sorry. So I'm just gonna make sure that my my thing is correct, and this should be example. If you want to rename a class, just you click on the name or any variable you want to rename, and you do Shift Alt R, and it'll change it in every single reference you have to it. So that's just something cool. You press enter when you're done. Anyway, ArrayList array example list. I should not have named it that. Array list example. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, I was just getting the code for this. No, I literally went in here for nothing. What just happened? Whoa. Eclipse. I don't want this. Whatever. Whatever. So our array list should be 12 integers. Alright. So we're gonna look at how to remove indexes. So we're gonna actually do it this way, because we want to access the index of the number, not the number itself. Well, we do want to access the number, but we need the index. So to get an element at a specific index, you do list dot get integer index. So it returns the element at the specified position in the list. I remainder 2 is not equal to 0. So just like last time, list dot remove I minus minus. So the reason I subtract 1 from I is because when you remove something from the index, say the index is 9 thing long, say you're at index 4, right? Right, say you're at index 4 and you want to remove it. So you remove index 4, you delete it, and the length now becomes 8. Right? But even though you removed index 4, there still is a number at index 4. So it was whatever was at index 5. So if we just kept it like that and it would just kept going, the whatever number at index 5 would have been skipped. So we have to make sure it stays at index 4 and make sure that the new number at index 4 is also even. So yeah, that's why I'm just doing that for the remove. It doesn't really matter most of the time, but for our purpose now. Oh, this is actually outside of the loop. So we're going to go outside of our loop. So this loop just pretty much removes all of the numbers that are odd. So we're going to do sys out. The list is now list.size integers long. This got really messed up for some reason. There we go. Alright, so the list is now whatever integers long. So let's just see that and make sure. See, now it's 5 integers long. The same method calling the same size of the same list, but the size is now different. So now we're just going to do a for in loop. Another int I in list. Sys out. I is even. Alright. So it pretty much does the same thing to 28, 1858. Or 828, 1858. So yeah, that's actually all you need to know about arrays and array lists. There's a lot more. There's like there's like 2-dimensional arrays and then 3-dimensional arrays, but we don't really need those as much, and when we do, I'll just explain it. So yeah, next time we're going to learn about objects and classes and interfaces and all that lovely stuff. And everything is going to start coming together. And it's pretty much that, methods, and then we can get into game development. So we're really close. Just 2 more lessons after this. And we'll be making Pong, hopefully, by the end of the first semester. So, excuse me. Yeah, so yeah, if you have any questions, email me, Skype me, text me, find me around campus, talk to me during club, do whatever you want. Just make sure your question is asked. Leave a comment in the YouTube comments. If you're on the actual game dev club page, then you're screwed in that sense. No offense. So yeah, you can ask me questions however way you want. So, see ya.